Hey, you too. Say that again. Okay. So what are we looking at now?
Well, here we are, guys. It is Thursday. We are back. The threesome. What's happening? What's happening? So excited, guys. I know we missed last week's show. SoCal Smackdown with Team RPM, myself, the great Dante Powell in Long Beach, the lovely Joe Madden YYC. I am so happy, guys. Great guest coming on tonight. Bubba Bubs. Let me call him Bubs. Said, hey, you call me Bubs. My friend's calling. Baker, one of the nicest guys you guys will sit there and get to talk to. Down to earth. He's going to tell us about his ups, his downs, and what he truly, truly wants people to sit there and know about him. Not only his football career, but his cooking career and what he has planned right now for his legacy. Guys, SoCal Smackdown. Every Thursday, powered by Stables Media. I can't be more proud to have Dante and Joe. Joe, I'm going to go right into it right now. We're going to bring you, and we're going to talk about the Super Bowl.
It's almost here. We're on the countdown, aren't we?
Yes, we are, Joe.
How many more sleeps? Thursday, Friday, Saturday. 3 more sleeps to the biggest game of the year.
That's right, Joe. Everybody is 83% of the money right now is going on Kansas City, according to MGM and all the bookies out there. What do you think?
I wouldn't follow the bubble right now. I definitely wouldn't do that. I don't think it's the right decision at all. You've got Brady at home, and their defense have stepped up. I think they know exactly how to beat the Chiefs this week.
Okay. Dante, how's Long Beach doing, my friend? Guys, we apologize. Sometimes with the internet, it is a pain because of everybody online. So we're trying to get Dante clear. If you can hear us, we'll work on that. But let's go back to Joe. Joe, while Dante gets back in on there, I know everybody's talking about the Kansas City Chiefs and Tampa Bay and Brady being here. There he is. There he is. We got him back. But let's get him back on here. Start Dante. We want to know about the Super Bowl. What's your take, buddy? Guys, again, I apologize. We're gonna sit there and go back to Joe. Joe, the lovely Joe. We sit there and we will go. We will get this correctly. You know what, guys? This is the joys of having a studio that's remote, where we're not together, and obviously with everybody being on the internet, it is a pain in the rear. But that being said, I want to go back to Joe.
Man, we're doing good out here. It's kind of funny because the sun is out, but it's still kind of chilly. So, we're out here just I'm basically indoors, mostly working. But Long Beach is good. Southern California weather, that's what it is. But this big game, the Super Bowl coming up.
That's right, Dante. You got a pick. I think that
Yeah,
delay.
well, once again, I think, uh, you know, Brady is one of those, players that he has a track record of winning.
Guys, we apologize. We are having some difficulties in regarding technical difficulties, but that's the joys of having. Again, let's just go into it, and we'll bring him in. Once he gets in, then we'll figure out the issue on there. Joe, we talked
Yes.
about this before the show that there was a gentleman that put there was a couple big bets that went on Tampa Bay. One of the gentlemen was the mattress. He owns a furniture store. He put down $3.4 million for Tampa Bay, bought the half a point,
Yeah.
and he told everybody that buys a mattress $3,000 or more, if they win, he will refund their money. So, what do you think? Is big money going on Tampa Bay? I mean, is it just the small money going on Kansas
Yeah.
City?
I for some reason I think it's either gonna be Tom Brady winning the Super Bowl, or it's gonna be the young kid taking over the reins. Usually what Vegas does, they throw something out there early.
Okay, so I will quickly go to the mattress one between Dante coming back in here. I think he made a very, very smart bet. I can see the Bucks taking this money line. I don't think he had to buy that half a point, but safely he bought that half a point. When you're putting that much money on it, why wouldn't you? A lot of people are going to get free mattresses, so you guys, I'd go buy a mattress.
Hey, that makes a good point. If you need one, why not?
Yeah,
if you really
exactly.
you spend the $3,000, what do you got to lose? If you sit there and need one, if you spend $3,000 or more, and they do win, he's going to refund your money. So that's pretty much.
What a smart marketing ploy, because now all these people are banking on the fact that they will probably get a free mattress, and if he loses, he's done amazing in sales. So he's a genius.
Very, very much so. You know what? He is, and so to give you a little bit of background on him, in 2019, Joe, he actually put over $11 million in play with DraftKings for the 2019 World Series. He had futures, he had all. So this gentleman, obviously, he's made the, but he came up short that year with the Astros, so it was a little difficult. But I'm sure he's made the other bets that kind of recuperated on that end. So, but again, guys, we're trying to get Dante. Dante, I don't know. Give us a thumbs up if you can hear us well. If not, we'll do the best we can to sit there and get you in. Again, we apologize, guys, for any kind of technical difficulties that we're having. You listen to SoCal Smackdown, powered by the powers of God. It is powers of God. Stables Media, always trying to do the best, bringing out a little bit of love, a little bit of happiness, and a little bit of joy to having the difference of shows that we have. Now, Joe, let's go back. We're going to get Dante in here. NBA. You're talking about having the NBA All-Stars. One of the biggest dilemmas they have right now. People are saying, "Hey, is it really? Should we do it?" They had a couple players come out. One, and I'm going to quote, said, "This is a stupid idea," by De'Aaron Fox. Says the decision basically relies on the financial status, financially driven. What's your take on that? And if Dante can hear it, we'll get Dante on that, and we'll go around the horn on this. Go ahead.
Yeah, I actually totally think it's money driven. I don't think it should happen. You can't bring all those players together to do this. I don't see any point to it either.
Well, let me ask you this, Joe. I mean, we talk about money driven and all that, but when is it to a point where we can sit there and say, hey, it's not about money, because I don't even think they're going to have fans, from what I understand, or they're going to have very limited fans.
Mhm.
But it's the quote unquote television revenue. I mean, when do you get to a point and say, okay, hey guys, you know what? You're using us rather than us sitting there and trying to look at what's best for us, not what's best for the owner's pockets or the league's pocket.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a hard one. I don't know what point you get to with that, because all of us do want life back, and we've got to take these steps, but it feels like it's, 2 steps forward, 5 steps back lately. So I don't know.
Well,
I really don't, Tony.
Okay. That being said, you sent out a post the other day regarding COVID in Canada. And I don't try to go too much on it. Obviously, when the guest comes in, but we'll talk a little bit more about that. And if we get Dante here on this, because, they opened up California to a certain extent. The weather out here is a lot better than Canada. Obviously, we're in close to 80 degrees. So they've opened up dining outside. Kind of like you said, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. I don't think, a lot of these restaurants got tired of being closed, shut, open, closed, kind of a two-way door where it's only what's best for the state, not for the small businesses, because they're getting killed. But you posted something that in Canada, if you get COVID, it's 24 days quarantine.
Okay, so this is where things have changed with the new strains, I believe it is, and everything going on. So if one of my kids gets COVID, they live in my house. I can't kick them out. They can't go live at a hotel until they get better. My quarantine starts the day my kids get sick and they're diagnosed with COVID until 10 days after the last day that they're clear. So that is day 14. Their quarantine is officially done, but then I can't leave my house for another 10 days because every single day they have COVID, it starts my exposure again.
Wow. So basically you're going around in circles there. And who came with this? Is it Prime Minister Trudeau, whatever his name is, Trudeau?
Yeah, we don't even need to mention his name. I don't know if it's him or the health minister. I don't know if it's all of Canada or if it's just Alberta. I get really frustrated listening to things. My concern is, what if my daughter gets it and then 8 days later my son gets it? Because then you're adding 14 plus then 8 plus then another 10. Like, you're talking for a family. If everyone doesn't get it at the same time, you could be locked up for how many days? And think of a family with 8 people. Like,
I agree with you. And I think that's the toughest part right now, not only with the small businesses, but families.
Yeah.
And then, we talked about out here the other day, I was talking to someone in regards to gas. You think that things will be a little bit different in helping people, but gas prices went up here from $2.55 a gallon all the way to about $3.50 a gallon, almost $1 increase in less than a month. And I don't know. I mean, everybody's having tough times getting their unemployment. Everybody's having tough times getting back to work. And then all of a sudden you get $1 more increase in gallon. And I know out there it's very expensive. You guys produce it. So, I don't see where the common sense lies in a lot of the stuff that these people are doing in our government. And I'm not going one side or the other, but I'm just talking about in general. We have to try to help these people out, and everybody, me, you, Dante, the kids. My kids went back to school today, or actually Monday, and they're doing the same thing, and it's like, they're up, down, up, down. I want to see if Dante can hear us, if he's got any comments. Dante, again, I apologize. I don't know if the connection's there, but if you can hear us, fire away, brother. Yeah, we're having difficulties with Dante. I don't know if Dante, if you might be able to sign out, and sign back in. It might help out if you can hear us. We've got some guys here. I want to sit there and say shout outs to David. David says, Joe, I'm praying for you and your family to stay healthy and safe. Thank you very much. You know what, David, we can't say enough what you've done for the network, done for my family. We love you dearly, man, and a true friend and family to me, so I appreciate it. We got our buddy Willie Wilson. Willie, what's happening, brother? less time put away if you get the DUI. He's saying that
okay, where were you how many years ago then?
Well, he's actually saying that you get more time as a DUI than you do on that. I guess I don't know. I'm not going to ask. Right? We're not going to ask that. David said hello, Dante. He goes, and then we got Willie saying, "Hang in there, Joe. Good vibes coming your way." Wow,
Thank
Willie,
you.
are you a fortune teller now, Willie? What's going on?
I didn't know
that. You got always good vibes, Joe. Hey, speaking of good vibes, what's that little thing in the background there? Hustle and grind.
Which way do I lean? This way. Yeah, my Hustle and Grind show. Yeah, we are doing a Super Bowl prop recap tonight, and we've actually got Dave Stevens, who we've had on our show before, popping in to just give us a quick take from Tampa. But yeah, Hustle and Grind, you guys. It's a new show. It's awesome. Check it out.
Wow. I'm so proud of you on Stables Media, guys. She is taking this with Tammy P and also Lisa Diaz, Lady D. They are taking it and running. So it's unbelievable. So thank you, Joe. I appreciate everything that you've done for the media network and what you're doing to help others. So thank you. Willie says more times with COVID-19. And if you got yeah, we said that, but we know that, Willie. Willie, when are you gonna come back on, man? We missed you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so guys, Bubba will be sitting there and joining us here soon. I want to talk a little bit more about the Super Bowl. Some of the bets, Joe. You know, they're talking about the coin flip. They're talking about the over. And I know you'll be doing this on your other show, but we'll just kind of touch a little bit on it so we can.
Okay, I have a fun one. Let's talk about this fun one. Okay, do you know Eric Church, who will be singing the national anthem with Sullivan?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you can actually bet, and it's plus 900 if he'll be wearing sunglasses or not.
Wow. I
like this one.
I like the plus 900 though. If he's wearing glasses, you get so basically 9-1.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good bet. It's a good prop bet. Why not?
It is, and it's a fun one. And you know what? I've seen him in Calgary, and he wore sunglasses basically 90% of the time. And it started at like 7:30 at night. It was summer, but he still wore them when it was dark out.
Okay, but Joe, let me ask you this. Do you think sometimes these guys, I mean, you're in the betting industry. Do you think sometimes these guys see certain prop bets like that, you know, like the national anthem over, 2 minutes, some seconds or whatever it may be, and wearing sunglasses. And I mean, if they see it one way or another, they can sit there and say, well, I'm going to wear them and, you know, make a lot of people money, or I'm not going to wear. I mean, What do you think? I mean, do you think they actually go and look at this stuff and see what people are saying about them?
I think for something like this, because I don't think there would be any crimes committed if he told his friends, yes, I'm wearing sunglasses. Right? So he's not a player. He's not a coach. He's not tied into the game anyway. I definitely think he could tell people he was wearing sunglasses, or his team could leak it that, yeah, he was wearing sunglasses when he was rehearsing. There's a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, I guess he could sit there and it wouldn't be a travesty if he did tell his friends. But then you know what though? If he did tell his friends, kind of be inside information about, hey, here you go, I'm going to wear it. And if you're betting $100 to win 900, not a bad bet. Willie says, I miss you guys too. Anytime, my friend, we'll do a show. Hey, Willie, you're always invited. You can come on Freedom Rock Friday. You know that. We are waiting, guys, and I apologize. We're waiting for Bubba Baker. He's going to be joining us here in a few minutes. We lost Dante with some bad connection, so we apologize for that. And Dante also. Taylor said he watched Hustle and Grind this past Monday. Awesome program.
Thank you.
Do a couple more. Joe and Tony are the most creative minds about betting in life. Thank you, David. And it's not me. It's all Joe, and it's all Vinny. Vinny comes up with a lot of these ideas, guys. Vinny G, he's part of the network. Does Freedom to Rock Friday with us. A lot of these show ideas that comes up, sometimes he sits down with me and says, Tony, and I'm like, why did you wait so long? He's like, well, I didn't want to jump in and so on and so forth. But he's got a lot of great creative mind, and I couldn't ask for a better best friend there. And then Willie says, insider information. You were wearing sunglasses at night.
Oh, okay. But you know what? You see a lot of these celebrities do it. You really do. And then a lot of the kids, actually, it's funny. So my son's last football game, it was like snowing and it was so gross out. We went live on Freedom to Rock from there. There was like 6 kids walking to the parking lot after in these obnoxiously huge, big blackout sunglasses. So The kids do it, celebrities do it, football players do it. It happens everywhere. I think he'll wear them personally.
I think you know what? I like at that odds at 9-1. I mean, why not? I mean, if it's 2-1, 3-1, but you know what? It's not a bad prop bet. Is there any other big ones that you're looking at?
Huge. There's a huge one, and I don't know if I'll take it. But you know what? It's worth throwing $100 on. It's plus 3,000 for the first score to be anything other than a touchdown or a field goal. So if someone gets a safety, it's really unlikely, but right, it could happen. And if it happens, you'd be kicking yourself for not putting that $100 on to win 3,000.
Sponsored by Mountain Dew. By the way, speaking of sponsors, we are sponsored by Vigit app, VIGIT. It is a sporting wagering app. You could download it free. VIGIT. It is a app for social media betting enthusiasts, guys. So you know what? And use Stable's media code or SoCal. Either one will get credit for it. You'll enjoy it. There'll be people on there that you'll meet. It's a pretty cool app. About over 20-some thousand people on there to talk about the way wagering goes, different type, kind of what you talk about, Joe, a little bit, but kind of a community where you all want to kind of sit there and say, hey, what do you think, so on and so forth. So pretty cool app on there. Again, VIGIT, Vigit, Stables, promo code, or SoCal. Joe, let's go to again on the Super Bowl. We're going to talk about the I don't know if you heard of this, kind of a they try to make it into a funny thing, but the Kansas City Chiefs they all went to go get haircuts at a barber, and the barber got tested, and the barber has COVID.
Wow, is he working for the Bucks?
I don't know, but so one of the things that came up was the guy. There was one guy that said, "Like, hey, dude, they all had masks on, right? But obviously, the NFL protocols, if you're within a certain amount of feet, whatever it is, someone's tested, you have to be on, test negative for a certain amount of days." One of the guys was actually getting a haircut. He's like, all right, you know what? You already got it. I know you do. Instead of taking the barber away, he had him finish his haircut. So that was one thing that was kind of funny. And then the other thing is there's two guys right now that are on the NFL protocol for COVID, and they may not play for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think we talked about this before. One is Kilgrove, and then the other one's wide receiver Robinson. What do you think about that? I mean, do you think that, pretty tough situation to be in?
Yeah, really tough. And I feel so sorry for those guys because to be in the Super Bowl is such an incredible accomplishment. And now to be sitting there having to be tested every day and just praying that they don't have COVID and they can actually play, I couldn't even imagine how much stress these guys can be under. So I think it's hard. And, they wanted to look good for the Super Bowl, went and did something as simple as getting your hair cut. Like, it's a sad situation for everyone, but I wouldn't have got my hair cut, I guess.
Bubba's gonna be joining us here. He's downloading Chrome.
Okay.
So all these, and this is where we'll go back a little bit talking about all this technical stuff and all. You guys, when we do shows like this, there's so many different things when you try to get guests. And I'm going to tell you about Bubba a little bit. He doesn't do interviews. He doesn't. I mean, he is nationally world renowned. He's a chef. He's been on the Shark Tank. Not only has he been, a football great. Speaking of that, he's coming on right now. We're going to sit there and bring him in because I'm going to let him tell you what he's known for. And then we'll get him here. And I'm going to tell you this. I can already see the smile on the screen. This guy, yesterday I talked to Joe, and I got to say this before I bring him on. Talked to him for about 45 minutes. I got out of the car, and I smiled, and I couldn't stop smiling the whole day. And my kids would say that. I said, you know what? There's good people in the world still, and we got to continue to sit there and preach that. So that being said, the great, the one and only, my buddy, I'm going to call you Bubs because you said your friends can call you Bubs and your family members. So I consider myself family now. Bubba Baker. How are you, my friend?
I am tremendous, man. I did have a little bit of a moment where I turned pale because I didn't realize this apple. You never seen a black guy turn pale? I did, but I got this Apple, and my wife got it for me, and um, I just started hitting Chrome buttons. I had to download Chrome, and I'm not a tech guy. I heard you talking about TikTok and your kids on TikTok, and I was like, I'm gonna have to come into this century here. I'm from old school, so I still got a flip open phone.
Hey, Bub, you know what? Those are the best because no one could really take a picture of you real fast because they had to sit there and flip it open and then have to sit there. So you would see them take pictures. Now, I mean, literally, you have a phone and just go up to someone real quick, take a picture, you're there. Someone's got a picture of you. That being said, Bud, you know what? Yesterday we spoke about a little bit about your career and a little bit things about what's going on in your life. And I got so many questions in my mind that are going right now 100 miles an hour, but I want you to tell people that are listening to the show, and we're going to get into the detail, the nitty gritties. We'll ask you some football questions, stuff like that. But I want to tell the people who you are, not as a football player, not as Bubba that went on to the Shark Tank, not as the great chef and cook, but as a family man, as a person that you and I talked about yesterday.
Yeah. Well, let me start by saying I had an experience with fame, and a lot of you are probably too young to remember the song by David Bowie. But there's a couple of lyrics in there that says, it takes a man that makes too little and turned into much. And I never knew what that meant when I was kind of in that maze. But I had an experience, at 20 years old, was rookie of the year and all pro and everybody pulling at me. And I just didn't know how to say no, man. I didn't. It's something that you got to mature into to be able to say no and not have to. And I don't mean like, no, just no, thank you. Hey, I'm throwing a party, man. And, there's going to be a few people there, want to stop by. Well, I would stop by. But really, you were the star of the show, and so you got pulled in different directions. Your family pulled at you, and as a result, you wind up the only people you hang out with are people that mean no good for you. You know what I mean? And that's why we see so many young people and famous people. I remember one of the saddest stories was reading a story about Demi Lovato, because I happen to admire that young lady, going back to Disney and all, and the whole Britney Spears. And we see it all the time. I mean, two of the greatest artists that three, Prince, Michael Jackson, and Whitney Houston. What do you think killed them? It wasn't just the drugs. It was the fame and not knowing who your friends are. And I mean, I don't know how anybody could hang out with Bobby Brown. Bobby Brown's a weird dude, man. And I mean, it's pretty, he doesn't hide what he's about. I mean, Bobby Brown is a stoner, man, and he's pretty proud of it. And my point to you was, I went down a lonely path, and when you ask that question about my life, I am so grateful that tomorrow, February 5th, and my wife's giving me a hard time too tonight. Tomorrow is my 38th anniversary to Sabrina Renee Baker. Yeah, and she deserved to be a saint, to go through the things that you go through with a professional athlete. And not just the obvious. It's just, to be a professional athlete, it's all about being vain. It's about your weight. It's about, what you look like, especially what are people saying about you in the public. Any guy that says he doesn't care what people are saying, thank God I didn't play when there were cell phones. So I did a lot of weird stuff. And if there was cell phone, instead of a 13-year career, I'd have had about a 13-day career. So I am glad that I'm from the Stone Age. But, Big Daddy, not a lot of people talk about and share the downfall because everybody thinks that being famous is what's cool. But until you wear those shoes, man, you have no idea. So now I am a professional grandfather. I've stayed married for 38 years because when my wife says jump, I go, how high, honey? And what I've learned is this, it's a small thing. I learned that this is something I want to share with your viewers. Sorry, I'm so dark, man. I call it the buckwheat syndrome. I can't even get this room light enough for me to come up. But I want to share something with you. If I would have known this when I was 20, now I'm 64, of course. There's a whole lot of stuff in between those 44 years. But if I would have known this, some people will never like you because your spirit irritates their demons. So I've always lit up a room. I always knew that. I knew that when I was a little kid, little fat, buck-toothed, bow-legged kid. But I knew I had something. I didn't know how to access it, and I didn't know how to use it. It's kind of like just now, just ask me for my Google password. I pulled out my phone and I started looking at all those passwords. I was like, man, by the time I figured this out, the show will be over. So what I say to people is, you can't go through life expecting for everybody to like you. You can be a people person, but you have to be a person to yourself first. And I've learned that, and I've had lots of time to take a look at who I was during this COVID thing. But the truth of it is I share this kind of story because there's a lot of 20 and 25 and 30-year-olds out there that, they get this money. Oh, by the way, I got the big bucks, man. I was the first pick in the second round. I got a $25,000 bonus, $25,000 a year, 27.5, 32.5. And then in the fifth year, I got rich. I got 50,000. Players make more than I made in 13 years in roster bonuses now. I mean, and I'm so glad that I didn't, because if I'd have had that kind of money, I'd be dead. You know what I'm saying, man? I'm a miracle that I'm here because I saw a lot. I mean, I literally was in Studio 54 with Andy Warhol and O.J. Simpson and people like that. I mean, Mario Hemingway. I mean, I saw these people, the Bee Gees, and I mean, it was the disco era. I mean, it was crazy. Nothing started until 11 o'clock back then. That's what time a party, if you went into a club and it was before like midnight, you were lame. So you got there at 1 and you were there till 5 in the morning, and then there was people with after parties. How can you survive that? There has to be a God that's watching over you and wants you to tell this story 44 years later about what fame does to people. So I'm probably the most down-to-earth guy that you've ever met. I love life. And I've learned to say no. I've learned to say gracefully, no thank you. And it's so funny. You say that to people, certainly after Shark Tank, and they're like, oh, well, I'd like to have you come to my, so-and-so. And I'm like, no, thank you. And they're like, yeah, but, and I'm like, no, yeah, but I'm not interested. And I'm comfortable with that now, So, that's the thing that I think young people have to learn. You got to learn to be able to say, no, thanks, man. Hey, you ever tried? No, thank you.
What was the hardest part? And then I want to go to Dante and Joe after this for questions. But what was the hardest part? I know we talked yesterday when you were Defensive Rookie of the Year, 78. Did you have someone there to guide you? Did you have someone to kind of tell you what's? I know you mentioned Studio 54 and all that, but it was a giant party, or did you have someone say, "Hey, no, you've got to do this. Otherwise you're going to get your ass whooped."
Well, I have to be honest with you. There was one guy that he saved my career. Two guys. One guy was his name was Dexter Bussey, and Dexter saw me one day, when I came to practice and I had on, I didn't realize it, but I had on the same clothes. And Dexter pulled me over and he said, "Hey man, hey," he said, "Hey, it's all right to have a good time, and I know, there's a lot of women out there and partying and everybody want to hang around you." He's like, "Hey man, why don't you come over so me and Kay can make you a dinner, some macaroni and cheese and some baked chicken and I was like, "What? What are you talking about, man? I eat on the run. I eat in my car, And he brought me over and he let me sit down with his family. And it was the first time that somebody had ever pulled me over. And he said, "Hey, at least have a change of shirts in your car." He said, "But if you're going to wear the same clothes every day that you come in," he said, "your business is going to get out." And so I took that to heart. And then the second guy, he came right after my career started. It started with a bang. And it was just one big party. And it wasn't intentional. It was just so many people, quote unquote, loved Al Bubba Baker. It was Detroit, man. It didn't shut down. Greektown went for 24 hours. And I'm not kidding you, man. I had an apartment and I saw my landlord and I dropped off a check and she said, it was in this apartment complex. And she said, "Are you ever there?" And I said, "No, I just needed a place where my mail could come." And that was the kind of lifestyle. Again, it was the disco era. I was 20 years old. No, there was no one there for me. But there was a guy named Dave Purefoy. He's passed away now. And Dave came from the Green Bay Packers about halfway through the season. And Dave was like, "Hey, man, you don't go out on Friday. You rest on Friday." We called him Orwell. He was about 6'2", meanest human being I'd ever met in my life. He hated people except for me. And he invested into me. And he explained to me that there was a difference between being in the NFL and being a professional. Okay. And so I started to become a professional. I still had a crazy lifestyle, but at least I knew that I needed to take care of myself because there was nobody around to tell. Were you thinking a veteran that you're going to take his position, going to tell you to slow it down?
Yeah.
He helps you burn the candle at both ends and blow up.
Yeah.
That's the way it was back then, man. And football back then was football. Training camp was 8 weeks long. You actually could hit the quarterback and, and I came into the league. I had a chip on my shoulder, still do. I still have a chip on my shoulder. Only now I understand how to use it. But when I was drafted, there was 11 defensive linemen that went in the draft before me. It was the year of the defensive lineman. And they even took a guy, his name was Ken Clark from Notre Dame, and they moved him to defensive end, and he went before me. He'd never played defensive end. Boy, was I ticked off. And I took it out on 23 quarterbacks, that season. And that was my motivation, man.
Dante, I hope you can. I don't know if you can hear us down there. We had a little bit difficult.
Dante's got that same darkness going on that I got.
we gotta get him off mute. We gotta get him off mute. Let me see if I can unmute him.
Actually, it's Black History Month. It's African American. What's this month called? It's Black. Dante, what do we call this month? Black History Month. Oh, now he ain't black.
He's having a feedback. I don't know if it's that. There he is. He's laughing though. We can hear him.
Okay. So now he's just trying not to claim it. Now.
No,
What is it? Black History Month? Great googly moogie, man. Turn on some lights. You got beautiful teeth.
I'll tell you, Dante's one of the nicest guys. He's been on our game since day one.
He's got gorgeous teeth, man.
He does. I'm really jealous. They're so shiny.
Oh my God!
I was feeling bad about my background. Dang, Dante.
Hey, Joe, he's frozen with that smile.
I know. At least he's frozen pretty, right?
Oh man, he's doing great. We apologize about that. It's just we're having a little
No,
difficulty with that, Bub.
that's
But you
cool.
know, Joe, I want you to take away a couple questions for Bubs because I've got a list full, but I know what I want to go towards. So
Yeah.
fire away.
Absolutely. I want to go back to you being able to say no to people. When
Yeah.
did that come about? Because I know that's a tremendous thing for people to be able to do and realize that they can say no. So how did you come about and when did you come about being able to say no?
Well, I had gotten my fault was I was always a sensitive guy, and I was always a guy that wanted the approval of it. I wanted to be liked. I wanted to be famous, and I wanted to be rich and famous. And obviously going to play for the Lions, the rich part wasn't happening, but the fame part was, there was billboards around town. It was, and I'm admitting it, it was just too much to handle. There wasn't one single place that Bubba Baker couldn't go where people didn't know him. So when I went, the party was around me. And I remember meeting my wife, and my wife said to me, my wife was the one that taught me how to say no. Because when I met my wife, people used to come over to my house. We didn't have like normal hours like normal people. Somebody would pop over my house 4 a.m. Hey man, what's up? And there it was. It was a party. 4 or 5 people would come over after the club, and I allowed that to happen. And when my wife came, you can imagine how many of the guys that that were married that would stop by my place, doing things they couldn't do at home, right? And they would be like, "Man, she's lame, man. I don't think she's good for you." And that was the way the guys were, It was like, "Hey, man, I came by the other night. I'd see them at practice, and they say, 'Hey, man, I stopped by Tuesday night, the night after, ladies' night, and man, your wife answered the door and slammed the door in my face.'" I was like, "She did?" And I'd go back and I'd ask my wife, I said, "Hey, so-and-so came by. Did you slam the door in her face?" She's like, "Yeah. He came over here at 3 a.m. Ain't he married?" And that was kind of stuff that people had never heard. It was always, "Come on in." And matter of fact, I had a big old 135-pound Bouvier des Flanders. His name was Bear. And he looked like he could kill you, right? But if you gave him a piece of cheese, he'd just let you right in the front door. So everybody that knew Bear and had ever been over, they would come over and they'd have a piece of cheese. And this big old dog's at the door, Bouvier's des Flanders, right? Big, fearsome looking dog. And somebody would pull out some cheese, and man, he'd start to jump up and stand and get the cheese and walk right in my house. And my wife put a stop to that. She, and my wife, it took a while. And my wife was like, "Hey, look, that's not cool for people to come over your house 3, 4, 5 in the morning. That's not respect." And I thought that was, I was the life of the party. And so I thank God for Sabrina because, here I am 38 years later tomorrow.
Unbelievable.
And yeah, it is unbelievable, man.
It is. I mean, with this day and age, Bubs, I mean, we talk about it. And everybody in a split second says that, when they have issues, they jump ship. And that's
no, man. Hey, Joe, I got to tell you something. I don't know if you're married or single, but, there's nothing. You're single? Well, it's tough out here. Yeah. And when we met, I remember the little match book in our wedding. It said "perfect match." I actually found one the other day. Wow. And it was a match book. Yeah, the matches didn't even strike no more, but it said "perfect match." And we're the perfect match because my wife is a silent, strong woman. She got ways she could look at me, and I know something ain't right. Her eyebrow, or during my drinking days, she never said, "I don't think you need another drink." She just had a look, and then she had that black girl's head, in her head.
Oh my God!
I'd walk over, I'd be at an event, I'd walk over, and her head would be bobbing like this, and I'd be like, "Oh," and I'd have a drink, and I'd be like,
"Oh my God!"
And and I'd turn around to the fellas and be like, "Hey man, I gotta go." They're like, "You gotta go?" I'm like,
"Oh my
"Yeah,
God.
you didn't see that look, And she's that's what makes her such a cool grandmom and a friend. She non-verbally speaks really loud, body motions and just kind of the way she could look. Still, sometimes if I work and I'm in this office too long, she'll just come in and she'll go past me in the bathroom, past me, and I'll be like, "Hey, baby, how you doing?" And she'll be like, "Not," and I shut the office down. I know. Yeah. So thank God for her, man, because guys like me, guys that are the light, and you know what I'm talking about, Big Daddy.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I found that cliche about just not everybody wants to be happy, man. Not everybody wants. Here was what you and I might have touched this last night. I saw some of the weirdest stuff when the George Floyd and everything that was going on. Literally, the world was on fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I saw some of the people that I thought were cool. They were saying things, and if you don't like it, then delete me. And I was like, okay, doop, because I don't like what you're saying.
But we talked about this. It's if you see the wrong, you could be best friends, and all of a sudden you disagree on something. They're like, hey, it's unbelievable what we've seen in the last year, and I think it was a kind of a pent up. But people are oversensitive to the point where wait a minute, if I disagree with you, that's fine, but it doesn't mean that we're enemies.
Oh yeah. Hey, I had a thing that happened to me, and obviously I won't mention any names, but I had an associate, and it's kind of sad, and him and his family literally picked up dogs. They had a big old beautiful house in Westlake, Ohio when we played for the Browns, and they were rescue dog people.
Mm-hmm.
Nice, beautiful place, a successful athlete. And me and him was cool the whole time we played together. And they might have had at one point 21 dogs. I tell you what, they had a pit bull and one of his arms was missing. And I had never seen anybody do that. They went and got this dog. They had a couple dogs that were blind. And I'm thinking, what the hell do you do with a blind dog? But they took care of him, right? In the middle of all this stuff, the wife starts posting stuff and long letters, why does Black Lives Matter? Blue Lives Matter? And, and I'm like, whoa, I never knew she felt like that. And here's what I'm saying. In the Bible, it talks about, if someone thinks that you're ignorant, right? It only takes for you to open up your mouth for them to figure out that it's true. And that's what I saw. I saw a lot of people that I did not know that they thought a certain way. But boy, once they start putting this stuff out there, and then here's the other thing, Big Daddy and Joe, that stuff's out there for life. It's out there for eternity. When you're dead and gone, it's still going to be out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I made sure my kids, I was like, man, don't get involved in any of this stuff, because you may go to get a job one day and they're going to go back and look at your social media and they're going to see that you were on there saying this about the president or this about race issue. You're not before you can get in the middle of those kinds of conversations, you cannot be like me, emotional. And a lot of people used to reach out to me, hey, you got a voice, you were on Shark Tank. I'm like, man, I'm the worst representative in the world. I'm too emotional. You need somebody smart that can keep their heads, that can make a point without being emotional. Mm-hmm. And I saw so much of it. It really made me sad because I lost on both sides. A lot of my Black friends were saying things, like, hey, cut and paste this. I got something once I was shocked. I got something on Facebook and it said, and Facebook is one of my brands. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and I'm not going to put anything out there that, somebody could see from my new company and say, hey, I see you posted this. So I just don't do that. If it's not positive, I don't do it. That's not the place to do it. But I saw somebody post something black, and they sent it to me and said, cut and paste this on your Facebook. I said, no, thank you. And they had a problem with that. Oh, what kind of brother are you? And I was like, I'm black as hell. I don't need to post and paste something that says I'm a black man. Da 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 da. I carry myself as a man. My skin happens to be black, but why do I have to say that I'm black on Facebook to make you happy? And that's when my other very important message came in. If God ever takes somebody out of your life, it's because he can hear what they're saying about you in the other room. And he and I haven't talked in a year since COVID started, since the George Floyd thing started. And I never think about him. I just brought it up to just say to you, it's so childish. It's not even, it doesn't even help anybody. When you post up something that somebody else told you to say, if you don't really feel like that, no. And I had a ton of it. I had a ton of people. And then I had my daughter set up my Facebook where nobody can tag me on it unless I approve it. Because I don't feel that way. All my grandkids are mixed. I'm not lying. My grandkids have German, they have Latino in them, German Shepherd. They're mixed with all kinds of stuff. I mean, my whole family is Heinz 57, man, and to hear or for somebody to solicit me, my son James, he just married a beautiful girl named Amy. We just found out we're getting ready to have our 4th grandchild. And
congratulations.
Yeah.
And I had now here's a story. This is now we have a prayer group, and my wife sends it out every morning before sun up. And during the middle of all this stupid stuff, one of the people that was on the prayer group was no longer there, posted, I'm about to watch Roots, and it's gonna make me hate all white people. And Amy's on my daughter-in-law, and so is my granddaughter, Priscilla, who's 13. She's mixed, And to me, that kind of stuff is irresponsible. It doesn't take any intelligence to cut and paste and do that kind of stupid stuff. And I just fell out with a lot of people, but I got to tell you, Big Daddy and Joe, I don't miss them. I don't need that. I got Grandy. I got a baby Baker in my granddaughter's belly right now. That's what's important to me.
Way to go.
That's the most.
That's number one. We said it last night. Family. Dante, are
She's
you back?
3 months old, man. That baby's 3 months old in her belly.
That's unbelievable. 'Cause family is key, and you said it earlier, where they see and they hear and they absorb everything that's around them a lot quicker than we do. And
yeah, man.
You could be 3 months down the line, and they could say something. I'm like, how do you hear? Well, I heard you say that, or I heard someone. And it's like, wait. Or they see it on Instagram or whatever it may be. And that's one of the reasons why I tell my kids, you know what? Don't follow. Be a leader. Don't listen to other people. Be yourself. Dante, you still there, bud? I want to make sure Dante's there because you know what? He's part of our team. He's the key, the glue that keeps us together. Dante. I don't know. Tonight, Joe, you must have got him mad.
What did I do?
I don't know.
I must have done something.
He looked like Dante looked like my mother when I did something wrong. That's the kind of look I got. Stone face. Dante, man, I'm sorry, bro. I take back the buckwheat comment.
Dante's one of the nicest men.
Okay.
Hey, let me do some shout outs here real quick because we got a lot of guys on Facebook. We're streaming live on Facebook, also on YouTube, and also on our Stables Media page, guys. The great Al, Bubba Baker, Bubs, we appreciate you coming on. But we've got David Andrews. He says this and comments, and he says he's right. I learned that in life, you surround yourself with good people. And happy anniversary to you and your wife, Bubba. So thank you so much on that.
Thank you, David.
And then we have here, it must be a new follower here. He says, "Hey, can you say hi to my friends, LP Tolarago? I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. And Elver Gudo." Well, we said hi.
Hey.
How you doing?
What's up, ET? That way I won't mess up his name. Just call him ET.
ET
And Elbert Gudo.
And EG, there you go.
What's up? What's up?
So we got David. We got a couple other people here, guys, on there. Lisa Diaz says hi. You know what? I couldn't be more happy to have you on. I wish Dante. Hopefully Dante will come back on because he's got some tremendous questions for you too.
All right. Okay.
Bob, I want to ask you this.
Yeah, man.
We talked about cooking. Well, we're going to kind of go back and forth a little bit, but what was it? I mean, everybody talked about going to Shark Tank, and you know what? I've been in business 20 years. It's if you're a businessman, you've got to sit there and figure out how to sell you. The product will sell itself, but you had to sell you. And I remember watching that show, brother. I was with my littlest one. She was just born, and my daughter, my wife was pregnant. I was watching that show. So when I said, this is like exciting for me, I remember that. But what was it like that you had to go in there and basically give up part of what you worked so hard for? And was it worth it?
Well, first of all, the credit goes to my daughter, Brittany, who was on stage with me.
Yes.
But there's two experiences, and everybody has these two life's experiences that I've had. One was Shark Tank, and the other one, obviously, was playing in the National Football League at a high level for 13 years. And you know what both those experiences taught me? They taught me that you only get good results with a good team.
Right.
And I want to say that again. Just like you talked about Dante being a part of the team and Joe, not just Big Daddy. You're the front guy. You know what I mean? And you're bigger than the screen, the light, but your personality. You have a great personality. I feel like I've known you all my life, man. Honestly. And I want you to notice this. I'm not trying to be flippant. I'm not trying to blow smoke up your skirt. I get thousands of offers to go on the podcast, and I just can't do it because I'm normally sleep in another hour. I'm gone by 9 because I get up really early. But what was your question exactly? Because I said it was going to be more.
Well, my thing is that you and your daughter work so hard to get where you're at. And obviously in football, you're playing with a team. We know that. And in business, in the restaurant industry, it's one of the toughest industries to be in, let alone to sit there and succeed. You know that.
Yeah, it was very difficult.
How hard was it for you to sit there and give up a portion of what you worked so hard for? And was it truly worth it in the long run?
Yeah, actually, I went to Shark Tank. Again, I give the credit to my daughter. I didn't even know it existed. And I don't mean that to be flippant. My daughter watched it with her, like 3 of her girlfriends. One was attorney, one was accountant. And the other one, I can't say what she was on live, but she is. She just likes men anyway. And they would sit around and they would evaluate and they would watch it. And my daughter came to me and she said, "Hey, Dad, you know that problem that we have in the restaurant with people always saying, 'Oh, debone like McDonald's,' you know." And that was a sore spot for me. And I'd be like, not like my wife, like, no, it's not like McDonald's. It's a real rib. We take the bones out. And so that was number one. I wanted to go on a platform where people could see that it was an actual slab of ribs. And as we do on QVC, we take the bones out. You know, I needed to make that point. Secondly, I had a target. My target was Lori Grenier. No, first it was Mark Cuban because he had deep pockets. Second was Lori Grenier because she had 99 patents, and I just knew she was interested.
And Cuban.
Then it was Barbara. Then it was Robert Hershevik. And then, of course, nobody liked Kevin O'Leary, you know. And then Damon had never had a food item. So Damon was the last person that I was trying to address while going on Shark Tank, because I had a game plan. And as I said, the first was to make it clear that it was an actual slab of ribs so people could see that. And number two, I needed the kind of funding that came along with the brand, because no co-packer, and because we needed to scale it up to do business, no co-packer would sell you less than 10,000 pounds of ribs a week. You know, the smallest guy that I knew, his minimum was 10,000 pounds a week. And so you think about it, the average slab weighs 55 pounds. So think about how many cases you're looking at. We had no need for that, no place to store it, and no way to do it. So it was obvious we needed a co-packer. Well, I thought that show would help me get out there. Man, did it help me get out there. The next day, our system at our restaurant, carry out and the office phone, shut down from all the crazies calling that saw me. Now, the show aired on December 6th, 2013. That was the same day that they were burying Nelson Mandela. They almost canceled Shark Tank, and we almost weren't on. Remember when Nelson Mandela passed away?
Yep.
And they were going to bury him that day. And if your show gets canceled, then you were gone. They didn't reschedule you. So we were in jeopardy of the show not even being on it. We had this big, huge watch party at the restaurant. Of course, everything was free. And, I was able to go on because we had a team. My granddaughter's role, Priscilla, who's 13 now, she was a gymnast. She flipped all the time whenever I was in front of the TV. You know how your kids do, right? When they want your attention. If you're looking at the TV, they get in front of the TV. And Priscilla would just flip. And so while I was working on my pitch, I went to my granddaughter and I said, hey, Sil, Papa wants you to flip. And she was like, I can? And that was her job, to flip. Her job was to interrupt me when I was driving in the car and I was practicing my pitch. She'd be like, hey, Papa, look, and I'd be saying it, hi, my name is Bubba Baker from Avon, Ohio, and I'm the owner of Bubba's Barbecue, and I'd be doing my pitch, and my granddaughter's role was to interrupt me, to disrupt, to do as much as she could to distract Papa. And the other thing that I did was I would have my granddaughter turn up the car music while I was practicing my pitch. So we'd send my wife and maybe an employee into Costco's when we needed something extra. And me and my granddaughter would be in there and I'd be practicing my pitch. And my granddaughter would just boom, turn on the radio because she liked music at the time. She was a gymnast. And she just boom, turn on the music. And after a while, I'd be like, hey, honey, do that. Go ahead and do that. Without, don't tell me when you're going to do it. So I started training myself. And so then I had a couple of people that I said, hey, man, I need to try this pitch on you. So I would call, and it was a team effort.
Right.
When I got out there, I was able to nail that pitch because I had practiced under so many distractions with music on, with my granddaughter flipping. While there was people at the house, I just try out the pitch on them. Looks like Dante's hanging out now.
Yeah.
You hear D?
I hope he comes hears us.
Yeah, but it was a team effort, and was it worth it? You know what you have to do? You have to wait till the end. This is another thing that I've learned from Shark Tank. Life and peace, they're not a destination. It's a journey. And all along that journey, you need to kind of pay attention to the things that are going along in your life. And Shark Tank put me in a place where I was almost famous again, but I knew how to handle it this time. I knew how to just say to somebody, a grocery store would call me, a chain, and say, hey, look, we'll put your products in here if you come and do a Saturday demo And of course, I put myself out there to do these demos, Big Daddy.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I learned to do is I learned to say to that grocery stores, okay, so how many stores are you going to put the product in? And they'd be like, well, we're just going to try you out in 10 stores. And I say, yeah, well, you got 58 stores and you want me to come and I got a knee replacement, shoulder replacement, got hit in the head and I can hardly remember. And I'd show them my fingers and I'd just simply say, you know what? It's not worth me coming to your store, standing up from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, passing out samples, and you're going to have me in 10 stores. Well, how many stores you want to be in? I want to be in all of them or nothing. And they'd put me in all of them. I'd go in. They'd look at the numbers from that Saturday and say, man, this thing has legs. So I made it work, and it worked out for me. And to be honest with you, I thank God that, I know this sounds crazy, I thank God for this pause for me to look back during COVID because, I got a DVT from all the traveling. I had stores, Albertsons, Gelson's, all the big stores on the West Coast. So I would be flying. I'd book myself for weeks because I don't do anything without putting both feet in. Right. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to, I'm either all in or nothing. And so, I would go out and I would promote the product, and it helped us grow the business. And then I just realized during COVID, I was like, whoa, man, I got to find something that doesn't require a heavy load. I don't have to pick up or stand up. My back's hurt. You know what I mean? And then after I would travel, I'd leave on a Thursday, get there on Friday, stand up Saturday and Sunday in 2 different stores. And it was painful. And I just thought, okay, so I started this. How am I going to stop it? COVID stopped it. COVID stopped it. I even stopped traveling to QVC. Love doing QVC. But QVC now comes to your home. I do QVC from home. Coolest thing in the world. So what I'm saying is, I was able to take the lemonades from life, the lemons, and turn it into lemonade because I love doing QVC right here from the condo. I'm comfortable. There's not all this, with my ADHD, there's not all this background and the camera, people moving. It's just my wife in front of me with a reminder to, focus on this and focus on this. And this is what, make sure you smile because sometimes, I get really intense. And I look like this on QVC. Buy my ribs. And my wife can be on the other side and she's like this. And reminding me that be who I am, not somebody else. And I never really learned that at QVC because David Venable is the biggest person in terms of a personality. Nicest guy I've ever met, but he's just so huge, and he's loved by so many. So when you go on the QVC and you are in the kitchen with David, you are a guest in his house. And that is daunting to know, he's got 4 or 5 people that follow him around, and I mean, he deserves it. The guy is phenomenal. I mean, he can sell anything and he's very, very personable. So being a competitor, I want to be, I don't want to let it down. And here's something that a lot of people don't know. Man, it's not like I'm giving up a secret. What makes QVC is it's competitive. The minimum a minute is $7,200. So if you're supposed to be on for 10 minutes and you're not hitting those minimum numbers, all of a sudden you're on for 8 minutes and they cut you. Well, it was nice to have you here, Bubba. And David will put his hand on your shoulder and you're gone.
Wow.
And the next, it's a business. Wow. It's got its own customers. The women, 97.5% of it is women that watch it. They keep it on all day, like your grandmother or your aunt or somebody. They'll have it on, and then if something comes, Bubba Baker from Shark Tank, then they finally look at it and they'll order it and they'll try it once. And if they don't like it, they have a like it or return it, and you can't return ribs, and they get refunded. So you have to get the money back. It's competitive. But that's what makes it so cool in that, well, the models don't have to sell anything, but they can't eat no pizza the day before they go on because nothing's harder on women than women. Like, oh, she got a pot belly. Is she pregnant? Women are brutal, man. I'm in the green room. There's like 7 rooms, and Al, you're on at 9:10, or you're on at 8:15, and then there's peak hours, just like prime time. They put you on at 11 o'clock at night. And most of the people that are going to buy sleep. They just wake up and go, all right, I'll get some of them ribs. But at 8 o'clock on a Sunday night in the kitchen with David Venable, you better sell $200,000, $300,000 worth of ribs, brother, or you're off.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a business.
Well, you're right. It's a business, and really, when it comes down to it, it comes down to numbers. If it doesn't meet it does. They're going to find somebody else. And that's a sad thing sometimes, that, you work so hard to get somewhere, and then all of a sudden somebody can push you off that podium. But that's part of life. That's part of being in business, part of being in sports.
Yeah. Well, Joe, don't. Here's the key. The man that's wrapped up in himself, the package is usually really small. So don't take yourself seriously. I've had nights where I couldn't believe my sales. I've had other Sundays, peak times, where I thought I was going to crush it, and the sales weren't what I thought they were. And as a result, I got pulled. So, hey, I'm just honored to go on and be a part of it. And I'm still a part of the QVC family, only now I do it from home. And it's a lot safer. I don't have to worry about anybody that ever knows what a DVT is. Basically, it's a blood clot in your leg that goes up to your lungs, and it could kill you. Like a bullet, just like getting shot in the head. You people drop dead, and it happened to me, and it came from sleeping on the plane, not standing up, stretching, legs folded, and I didn't even know it. I'd never in my life even known anybody that had it, but once I found out what a pulmonary embolism was, man, and I'm on blood thinners right now because we don't want another incident. Mine went to my lung. I had 2 in each lung. And I'm not lying. I thought King Kong had me in the bear hug. That's how bad it hurt.
Bubs, was that because you were traveling so much on the airplane? Yeah. You weren't stretching. It's like when you're in the hospital, they say you want to walk around because if you stay, sedentary, you can get blood clot. Wow.
Well, you talked about that pentacle. QVC is at the height of it. There's nothing else. Let me put it to you like this. You could do in QVC in 10 minutes what you could do in 50% of your grocery stores on a holiday weekend.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, there's companies that I've seen on there that go on there. And I think I've sold out maybe 5 times in the last 5 years. But there's people that go on there, and at the beginning, you'll know you got 3,000 pieces. You got 10 minutes, right? I've seen people go on there. There's a lady that used to go on there with these little cookies, and they were Italian cookies. Look, all these little crazy looking cookies. Good as heck, man. I'm like, damn, that's Italian. Wow. All these just Italian cookies. And she had the cutest little 10 boxes like your grandmother had. And she'd go on, and you could see on the screen in the green room, she'd go on and they'd have 4,500 units of them, and they were priced perfectly, like a number. The number on QVC is anywhere under $20. Boom, gone. She sold 4,500 of them, and they had time remaining on her 10 minutes. And then if you're good like she is, you get to do what's called, here, I'm gonna let you guys in on the QVC world. You get to do what's called a TSV. Today's special value. You are on every hour for 24 hours. And I've seen people do $3 million in 24 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. So QVC, how about this? It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It never shuts down. And now they bought HSN.
Yeah. That's huge.
it's really cool, man. So
But no, you know what? I'm so glad that you reached that success. But I know yesterday when we talked about you talked about success and failures, that sometimes it's not about the dollar signs.
oh
Sometimes
no,
it's not about. I mean, because you, like you said, you've had it. You can still have it. But if you're on, we talked about this on other shows with other guests, and I think that's one reason why we get along so much well is that you could be on top of the hill, but no one's with you. What good is it?
it's no good, man. It's the loneliest place. And you know what I'm doing right now? This is kind of a segue. The meat business, and we sold to a lot of restaurants. It's called food service industry, where you sell to Gordon's Food, Cisco. That goes to restaurants. That was a large portion of our business. That came to a halt because restaurants stopped. And in the meantime, after I started feeling sorry for myself, and this is literally, you heard me say this before, I started saying to my wife, well, man, I don't want to travel like I travel anymore. I don't, and I don't mean this in a negative way. I just meant it from my heart. I don't want to kiss butt to sell a truckload of ribs. I'd like to find something. And just the fact that I spoke those words, I had a conversation back in late March, and a man shared with me, and he said, you know, you were on Shark Tank, you're on QVC, you played in the NFL, and it shows that you have the ability to morph and to adapt. Why aren't you, as I look at the bottom of the screen, why aren't you focusing on your brand? And I was like, good, duh. And he was like, yeah, why aren't you focusing on the Bubba Baker brand? And I had no idea what he was talking about. And then I started to think about it. So then I had my daughter set me up a Bubba Baker Instagram. And then it's at Bubba's Q60, I think, you know. And then I had a Twitter already with the company. And I said, well, let me start going on here. And then I took my Facebook. And in the middle of all of this craziness that was going on, I would go on. And at first I would antagonize people. And here's a word. If you want to start some stuff, just say God. That's all you got to say. It's God. Or I was praying, and your likes will go from 500 to 5 because people don't understand the whole thing about Christianity or believing. And that is, most of us can't understand how whatever we've done in the past, no matter how bad it was, and we've all done bad stuff, we've all done freaky stuff, we've all used substances to try and make us feel good, right? That this entity, this large, the creator of the universe could possibly love me. So people can't conceive that. There's no way that somebody could give their only son to be killed when he could strike him dead. Who does that? You know, so they don't get that. And so if you really want to freak people out, just start talking about God and say what God has done. Because if it wasn't for the love of God in my life, I've been so low that when you close the door, I could walk under it. I've seen it. I've seen cats. Do you know that Prince was one of the, now this is something I saw about 5 years ago during African American history, it flashed up on TV. It said that he owned all of his own master tapes.
Music, yep.
Which made him one of the richest producers, up there with the Beatles. He owned everything. He produced his own stuff in his studio. Do you know he died in an elevator in his mansion by himself?
So sad.
Yeah. Amen. No,
man, he died. What could be worse? So he couldn't take any of that stuff with him. And that kind of stuff makes you sit back. Or when you see and I won't mention any name, but when you see an entertainer and he's known for that kind of lifestyle, you know, it's just a matter of minutes before it pops up on your phone. So-and-so didn't make it. He overdosed, or he crashed his car going 150 miles an hour. And we see it every day. In fact, we become numb to it. When we see somebody who we admired based on the God-given talent, there's that word again. Sorry for swearing on your show, man. I said God again. And it's so weird how people will send me messages like God is into politics, I'm only telling you my story. So I have learned that I can't do anything unless I sit quietly, shut this ADHD mind down, be still, and know that a man didn't make dolphins. A man didn't make osprey. Man didn't make hawks. Man didn't make gorillas. So tell me that the gorillas and all that came from magma, and I got a bridge for you in California. It's called the San Francisco Gate Bridge, and I'll sell it to you. Yeah, for a real good deal. If you believe that.
It goes to Hawaii. It goes to Hawaii too.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not trying to preach to anybody. I'm only saying, man, I've been humbled. I've been down on the ground. I know what it feels like, and I didn't have any other place to turn. Turning inward is what got me in trouble. What I did was I turned it loose. And so what I'm saying to you guys now is who I am. It's who I am. I am a child of the Most High. I've been humbled by life. And to believe this, I actually wanted to be famous. That's what I wanted.
Can I ask you a question now?
Yeah.
With all of the downside to fame, is it something you want for your children or grandchildren?
Wow, that's so good, because I have a daughter who's 35 and she pursues all the cooking shows. She wants to be famous.
Yeah.
But I'm there. See, that's the difference. Yeah. I'm there. I can hold their hands through it. Right. I can talk them through it. Right. I didn't have a dad. My mom was a single mom. Yeah. And she was a disciplinarian, but I just learned how to hide things from her.
Right.
That's what it just made me craftier. I would never hold back. My granddaughter Priscilla is 13. She probably will kill me if she hears this, but she's just starting to get her mosquito bites are turning into bubbies.
Oh, you're in so much trouble.
Oh my God, Joe! I asked Joe about this, but my daughter, I'm like, no, please.
Yeah. And and my wife's like, "Ooh, her boobs are getting big." I'm like, "Don't say that," because I was a boy. I know. I'm like, "Don't say that." And then I with the COVID and all, they moved down here, and I saw her one day, and she had on the belly shirt and a little gymnastics pants, and I was like, "Go take that stuff off," because she doesn't have a dad. My daughter's a single mom, and I was able to sit down with her, and I said, "Hey, look, you're almost as tall as your grandmother. She's taller than her great grandmother. She's almost as tall as my wife, and her legs start, up here. Yeah. She's the most beautiful young lady. I saw a picture of her with the sun behind her, and she didn't have, she's her dad's part Italian, part black. He's got rat in him. He's part rat, like New York rat. This guy. If it was okay to kill people, he'd be the first one I said. He's a horrible human being, but he is good looking. I'd kiss him myself. This boy's so pretty. So I can see why my daughter got hooked up with him. But together they made this beautiful young lady. And as I watch her, I think to myself, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. And she thinks of me as her dad, because I'm the one that'll say to her, hey, what's up with all that makeup? Oh, my mom said. I said, I don't care what your mom says. Let's dial it back. And she goes and does it. And guess what she says to me on her way out? Love you, Papa.
Yep.
That's all that matters.
Yep.
That's all that matters. And so, yeah, Joe, God put me in this position. He let me do what I did to myself. I love me now, but at that time, oh man, I did not like the person that I had become. by no means. And I don't mind saying this several times. I literally would take my hand off the steering wheel, but God had something for me to do. I would drive back 4 in the morning. The Lions will love this story. I'd drive back 4 in the morning from Canada, doing 100 miles an hour, tore up. In fact, I lost the tops to my Corvette that I got as a rookie of the year, and I drove around in the winter with it.
By the way, Bubs, Joe is in Canada right now, so she's in YYC. Okay. So she does.
Okay.
Yeah. I always hear you guys love coming up to Canada. So
yeah, right across from Detroit, over to Windsor, and I headed to this place called the Golden Key Club. I used to run into the Rolling Stones there. That's a whole nother story off the air. I'll tell you guys that one. But I'm there, and the difference is I can spot arrogance. There's a very, very thin line between confident and cocky. So if I ever see one of my grandson, his name is Bubby, named after Papa. He's 6. He loves football. And his dad, I recently had to pull him over and say, hey, man, he's 6. He's 5, 6.
Yeah.
Let him just play, because my son had him downstairs with one of those ladders and working him out and had him doing push-ups. And I was like, man, he's 6. And there was, I could hear this little talk of, the NFL. I was like, don't talk about the NFL. He's 6, man. He's gonna be fine. And I could see my son like kind of shaking his head, like, yeah, I am kind of going a little crazy here. I mean, because he's got everything, he's got things to throw in. And I get it that there's the overzealousness as a parent, but what I've been through, I can make sure that my son doesn't live vicariously through my grandson. Just let him play flag football. Let him be a baby, And so, Joe, that was a really good question, because think about how many people that go through life and they don't have anybody that loves them enough to say to them when they're headed down a waterfall that they won't jump up and down and say, you're headed for a fall. You're headed for a fall. That's me. Yeah. And that's what I have to remind myself when I work too much, when I start taking myself seriously. That's when I remind myself, you got to be around when baby Baker gets there and the rest of them, whatever God blesses you with. Because there was a time where I never thought that when I think about it, I'm a grandfather. I think back to my 20s, and I think I never would have thought that I would live this long to not only be married 38 years tomorrow, but to have children and to have my children have children. So now I know why I was spared, because the truth is I should have been dead at least a dozen times. At least a dozen times. And I'm not kidding. I'm not exaggerating. I've been places, I've done things, and I shouldn't be here. But by the grace of God, here I am talking to you and Joe right now, man.
You know what? I'm so glad that our paths crossed. I want to sit there and do a shout out here to Eric Child. He did say that that's my big bro. We played at the same high school.
Oh, wow. He went to Weequahic.
Yeah, and Eric played a little football himself. He played for the Canadian League, and I think he played for the Jets for a little bit, right, Joe?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Eric,
wow.
Eric has been on our show. Great guy. He had a little surgery on his arm, so he's been doing his little warm ups. But I told him it'll take time on that one because he had a complete rotator cuff surgery. So wish him well. Guys, you know what, Dante, man, I don't know if you can hear us, if you can sit there and can you say anything? Because he's a vital part of our show.
Okay.
Dante, and I don't know just the technology, but Dante always has a great meaning, a great thought process on our show. So today we apologize for all our viewers and to you, Bubba, for not able to get that back and forth. Dante, if you can hear us, we love you. We got a few more minutes, Bubs. I want to sit there and first of all tell you thank you from the bottom of my We will be in touch.
Okay.
Anything that I can do to help you out, you know that we talked about that yesterday. I'll be there for
Cool.
you. Joe, I know you've got another show coming on here soon. We're going to kind of wrap her up around because I know Bubba's got to get back. Otherwise, his wife tomorrow, 36 or 38?
38 years.
38. I want to make sure he remembered 38 years. She might get mad if we keep him up too much longer. So I want to make sure she doesn't get mad at us. Bub, tell us how we can get a hold of you, or what the message you want for people in a short period of time here. How we get a hold of you? I know you started a new deal that you got going on. Let people know about that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, like I said, I was sitting at home, and I had a lot of people contact me, and it's so weird. I went into the telecommunications business, and I just formed a company about a month ago, and it's called Revelation Approach. And the reason I named it Revelation Approach, what we do is we save companies money. And, it's all done from a computer. It's all technology. I partnered with a guy that's been in the business 40 years. He wrote the actual book. His name is Chet Thacker. He wrote the book on negotiating telecommunications contract. And he and I connected. We met a while back, and then we connected recently. So we went into business together. And we save big companies money from their telecommunications, their utilities, and their asset management. And the reason that I named it Revelation Approach is because revelation is not a doomsday. A revelation is a surprising and previously unknown fact, especially one that's made in a known and dramatic way. And the way when I present to people on the phone, Big Daddy and Joe, I always say to them, what's cooler than when you put on a pair of your trousers and you find $5 in them? You think you just hit the lottery. And that's what we do for big companies. We find money, and we're a contingency-based company. So we work hard, but if we don't find your company money, we don't get paid. That's simple. That's what we do, man.
I'm so glad that you started that up, and we will. And I hope that you will join us again down the line.
Oh, yeah.
I love the fact I want to sit there and talk more. I know, the time.
You heard enough of my crap.
No, I actually do. You don't, Bub. You know how many questions I had here for you? Three of them, and I'm like super excited. I'll talk. You and I will talk a little bit down the line. But
okay.
Tell us how we get a hold of you. Tell us what's going on with Hustle and Grind, powered by Stables Media. We know that, but go ahead, Joe.
Okay, firstly, Al, I want to thank you so very much for today. I want to also say happy anniversary to you and your wife tomorrow. I hope you guys are able to, I don't know if anything's open there, but celebrate in your own way and have a magical day. So thank you again for coming on. You guys, in the next 55 minutes, Hustle and Grind is running a recap of Super Bowl props. We're going to go over everything from the coin toss to the first play of the game, everything to do with Super Bowl. We also have Dave Stevens popping in for a good 15 minutes. So it's going to be a fun show. Join us at 8 o'clock Mountain Standard, 7 o'clock Pacific.
And Joe, so very proud of you. By the way, Dave Stevens, great guest. He had some great guests on from the Super Bowl. I watched his live interviews from Tampa. So unbelievable. Good job there. Dante, I don't know if you can hear us. I'm going to put you on solo screen. If you can hear us, give us a shout out. If not, we love you, brother. We sit there and we'll get this resolved. We still have that bad connection, but we love you, Dante. Thank you again for being part of this vital team. Without you guys, Team RPM, myself, the great Dante Powell, the lovely Joe Mann, we wouldn't have this show. We wouldn't get gentlemen like Bubba and guests. They're lining up, and I truly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I always leave with a final thought. First of all, if you want to get a hold of me, guys, I don't hide from anybody. Facebook, Tony Russo. I don't get involved, like Bubba said. I don't get involved in the my motto. Live, love, laugh. That's it. I want my kids' legacy to know that their dad tried the best to do the best to help people. So. You can get a hold of me at trusso64 on Instagram, Stables Media Network, guys. Check out, if you missed the show, it's archived. It's also on YouTube. My closing thoughts are this. This whole nation right now, we're all trying to heal from this pandemic. Bubba, you mentioned it before, everything got put to a stop. But I think, in a way, it actually was in my belief, an act of God to bring people together again. And when I say that, it could be any belief that you have and any faith. I don't preach my faith. I just believe in what my mom and my dad taught me. But being closer to your family makes a big difference. When you can have your child next to you and you can sit there and say, yes, daddy, or no, daddy, or help him out, unlike before was texting them, hey, where are you at, or whatever it may be. I see more people today walking around my neighborhoods than I probably in the last 20 years that I lived in this neighborhood. So with that being said, guys, take the time. Remember, we have the choice to sit there and be nice. We have the choice to love someone. We have the choice to show our kids what's right and what's wrong. If we don't show them that, they're going to learn something different. They're going to learn off the phone. They're going to learn off somebody else that may not have the right intentions. What kind of legacy does that leave? So that being said, I love you guys from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Dante. Al, Bubba Baker, Bubs, I love you. Happy anniversary. Tell your wife thank you from the bottom of my heart for letting you come on. I know, shouldn't say letting you come on. I know you usually do late night stuff. So we love you. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart. Have a great anniversary. We'll be in touch. Joe, have a great show tonight. Dante, love you. All our guests out there, guys, if they're listening, Willie, David, everybody, thank you. If you missed the show, again, Stables Media, follow us, like us, and you'll see the show archived on YouTube also. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful evening.
Thanks, guys. Bye.